Hi everyone, today we will talk about having healthy feet as a diabetic. And as a type 1 diabetic, this is something I have seen firsthand, not on an extreme level, but I do have a story that has put things into perspective for me to be able to check my feet every day and be aware of my surroundings. So a few years back, I was traveling in the States, and I am from Canada originally, and I had stubbed my toe the night before traveling, and I was cutting my toenails, and I thought it was kind of painful, but I brushed it off. And a few days into my trip to the US, I noticed that my toe was extremely red and it was very painful to walk on. Later on, I realized as I tried to clean it or so that there was pus in it, and it freaked me out very much because I knew that as a diabetic, when you're diagnosed, one of the things that they tell you is that you can get an amputation. And so I was very worried that this wound would not heal. And so I tried to clean it as best as I could, and as soon as I got back to Canada, I went to my doctor, who had to reopen the wound, which was a very painful experience, and then gave me multiple creams and antibiotics to continue on for a couple of weeks until it was for sure clean and it was good to go in order to close properly. During those couple of weeks especially, I kept my eyes on my blood sugar so much in order to make sure that I'm doing everything in my hand possible in order to have the most of a recovery. And thankfully everything went well. It recovered and it healed. But that experience taught me that the smallest things with diabetes can turn into a very dramatic thing. And so here are some tips and tricks on how to care for your feet every day in a way that can prevent for the future, because the key with diabetes really is prevention, and we can start prevention today. A lot of us were told when we were diagnosed that consequences to diabetes are inevitable, but that is not true. Many things are preventable, if not all of it, and it really comes down to how we care for our diabetes, how we watch our blood sugar, and how invested we are in this quote-unquote life partner that we kind of don't have a choice in but have to live with anyways, especially as type 1s. And for type 2s, you care for your sugar as best as you can, and you try to take also the preventative measures for any complications for the future, because complications can really be preventable from today, from this moment, and not when it comes. You wanna be able to tackle that ahead of time, even if it seems to be more work, but it's better to tackle it now before it happens than try and fix it after it happens. So with Wounds Canada, there are some tips and tricks that we'd like to share with you. So one of the things is looking for signs of redness or blisters on your feet, and this shows that your shoe may not be fitting properly. We'll make another separate video about choosing footwear. The second thing you'd want to do is wash your feet daily and dry them well, especially between your toes. You can apply moisture to your feet, but not between your toes, because you don't want any of it to remain and not evaporate. And so it can create fungus, etc., and that's definitely not the result that you would want. The third thing, you do not want to soak your feet either. And number 4 is that if you are unable to reach your toes or don't have any feeling in your feet, have a healthcare professional trim your toenails for you. And one of the things that we recommend when you want to check your feet, and if you're unable to reach down or look at it, you can use a mirror, whether it's a larger mirror or a handheld mirror, to just look at the bottom of your feet. And this is very crucial. I learned that the hard way, because for me, I thought when I cut my toenails they were fine, but in reality, even the fact that it was hidden, it was within my toe, but it was just red, and I thought I just attributed it to the fact that I hit it and it was painful, but in reality it was infected. And so a lot of times we don't realize that there is a problem there until later on when it progresses. And so being very aware of the smallest change. If I had left it for longer and just attributed it to the fact that I hit it and it's painful and it's just red, because I don't see a wound and I don't see a cut, then this would have turned very problematic for me later on. But thankfully it was caught earlier on. One of the things that your healthcare professional would do in order to help you figure out if you are losing sensation in your feet is do a monofilament test. And it's a very simple test. It's painless. I actually love it when my doctor does it, and they use one of these, and basically touch on certain parts of your foot while you're not looking, and you tell them if you can feel it or not. And essentially that shows if you are having neuropathy, if you're losing sensation, or if everything is where it should be. It's a very, very simple test, and though it's very simple, it's very, very crucial, because without it you can develop neuropathy without knowing, and thus tie your shoes tighter and tighter because you can't feel your feet, and end up with more problems because you're cutting circulation, and you can have things in your shoe like a pebble or a nail, and you're not even aware that it's there, and so you are prone to having more infection or a cut without being aware of it, and this is what can lead to an ulcer and then an amputation. And so the smallest things that we often don't think about are the things that create this preventative measures for the future. So in the link down below, we'll link some of our steps for healthy feet checklist, and it's actually a really interesting checklist that we make a commitment to ourselves and this lifelong partner, diabetes, of which we can say that I will control my blood sugar levels and have a healthcare professional trim my toenails, care for the skin of my feet if I cannot reach it or feel my feet, and have my shoes professionally fitted, quit smoking if I smoke, begin exercising regularly as directed by my healthcare professional, wash my feet daily and dry them well. And this is actually a really important point. Though it's very simple, if you wash your feet and you're drying them well, you'll also be able to look at them daily. And so if you put that as part of your routine, just as brushing my teeth or or brushing my hair, then it's part of your routine to be able to check it daily, and it becomes kind of a mindless thing that is integrated within your daily routine and habits. You also would want to shake out my shoes before putting them on in case there's anything inside them. Once there was a gentleman who had neuropathy, and he went to a clinic with a wound, and he came back over and over again. The wound wouldn't close, and finally his healthcare professional checked his shoe, and he had a nail in his shoe and did not know it, and this is why the ulcer kept on getting worse and worse. And so something as simple as checking your shoe can prevent something so horrible as an ulcer or an amputation. And you want to wear your shoes at all times, indoor and outdoors. The smallest thing can cut your foot, and the smallest cut can can progress into something worse. And so again, the smallest measures of prevention can go a really long way. You buy shoes with closed toes as they protect feet from injury, and you want to buy shoes later in the day as feet tend to swell, which is a really interesting point. I never thought about it before. I worked for Wounds Canada, so that's an interesting point as well. And also you'd want to change your socks every day. There's also another feature in here that you can put a personal dedication that you'd want to do for your feet. So the link for that will be down below in the description. We also have foot examination for people with diabetes, and the link will be in the description. Feel free to check it out. And finally, we have some steps for healthy feet down in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video and you'll come back for the second one. Please comment down below. Let us know if you have any questions or comments, or any sharings of experiences you might have had with your feet and diabetes. Thank you.